Chapter 28, Developmental and Genetic Influences on Child Health Promotion. Your objectives are to describe major trends in growth and development, explain the alterations in the major body systems that take place during the process of growth and development, discuss the development and relationships of personality, cognition, language, morality. I think that's supposed to be mortality. Spirituality and self-concept. Describe the role of play in the growth and development of children. Demonstrate an understanding of the role on innate and environmental factors in the physical and emotional development of children. You have some definitions here that include growth and development. Growth is an increase in size and number of cells as they divide and synthesize new proteins. This results in increased size and weight of whole or any of its parts. Development is the gradual change and expansion, advancement from lower to more advanced stage of complexity, and increased capacity through growth, maturation, and learning. Maturation is an increase in competence and adaptability, usually described as a qualitative change in function at higher level. And differentiation is the processes by which early cells and structures are systematically modified and altered. The stages of development are in box 28.1 on page 724. And your patterns of growth and development, your directional trends can be seen on the next slide. Sequential trends are like crawling, then creeping, then walking to running. Developmental pace has a fixed, precise order, although it does not progress at the same rate or pace for every child. And these are developmental milestones that we expect each child to meet within a certain period of time. Sensitive periods are like the first 3 months of physical growth in the fetus, for example. This is the time when all the body systems and organs are forming. Each child grows at their own pace in their own unique and personal way. Growth spurts will happen, and we have to expect them sometimes to be picky eaters. That used to drive me crazy with my kids when they wouldn't eat. This is your cephalocaudal development, which was from head to tail in the center line. Proximodistal, from near to far or inner to outer. And then birth weight doubles by 6 months and triples by 1 year. External proportions. During fetal development, the fastest growing body part is the head. At 2 months gestation, it constitutes 50% of the entire fetus. During infancy, the trunk is predominant, and later the limbs are the fastest growing. As adults, the lower limbs are 30% or more of our total body weight. Think about cephalocaudal and proximodistal development in regards to how your body organ systems might develop. Metabolism, your BMR, basal metabolic rate, is when the body is at rest. It demonstrates a distinctive change throughout childhood. The BMR determines the caloric requirement of a child. The basal energy requirement of infants is about 108 kcal per kilogram of body weight, and it decreases to 40 to 45 kcal per kilogram at maturity. Thermoregulation, providing a neutral thermal environment, makes everybody comfortable. When the body is too hot or too cold, it burns more calories to attempt to regulate our body temperature. Newborns need to learn how to adjust and maintain their body temperatures in a harsh environment. In a healthy neonate, hypothermia can result in negative metabolic consequences like hypoglycemia, elevated bilirubin levels, and metabolic acidosis. Sleep and rest. Regular sleep cycles and rest are important to proper growth and development no matter what age you are. Infants and children respond well to structured routines and providing time for a good night's sleep and naps as needed. Naps as needed for everybody. not just children. Nutrition is the single most important influence on growth and development. Don't forget that. And there it is again. Single most important influence on growth is nutrition. Appetites fluctuate related to growth periods. Temperament. Manner of thinking, behaving, or reacting that is characteristic of an individual. See page 728 for more on this. Temperament is defined as the manner of thinking, behaving, or reacting characteristics of an individual and refers to the way in which persons deal with life. Every child you have may be totally different in their temperament. So if you have an easy child first and you think this is the most wonderful baby in the world, maybe I should have another one. And then you have another one and you end up with a difficult child the second time. So an easy child is easygoing, even-tempered with regular and predictable habits. A difficult child is highly active, irritable with irregular habits. And a slow to warm up child typically reacts negatively and with mild intensity to new stimuli, and unless they're pressured, they adapt with repeated contact. This can be seen on table 28.2, page 729. Nowhere in this book does it really talk very much about Freud's psychosexual development. You can look up more about that on your own time. Erikson's stages of development are the most widely used. Please commit this to memory. There will be questions on your quizzes and exams about Erikson's stages. The stage of initiative is characterized by physical activity and imagination when children explore the physical world around them. Piaget has a cognitive development theory. Piaget developed the stage theory to better understand the way a child thinks. Each stage of cognitive development builds on the last and the accomplishments made in an orderly process. Language development. The environment must provide a means for the child to acquire the skills of speech. Speech requires an intact physiologic structure and function, plus the intelligence to comprehend, a need to communicate, and stimulation. If you raise a child in total silence, they will never learn to speak. Environmental means intact physiologic structure and function, and stimulus. Kohlberg is your moral development theorist. Children also require moral reasoning in a developmental sequence. See more on page 731 about the 3 stages of Kohlberg's moral development. Body image refers to the subjective concepts and attitudes that individuals have towards their own bodies. Important throughout life, but teenagers have a particular interest in body image because of all the changes that they go through in puberty and throughout teenagehood. Self-esteem is very important. We need to have confidence in what we are doing to build competence and have a sense of control, moral worth, and worthiness of love and acceptance. Play begins with social affective play, wherein infants take pleasure in relationships with people. Since pleasure play is a non-social stimulating experience that originates from without, as in the objects that are surrounding us make us happy. After infants have developed the ability to grasp and manipulate, they persistently demonstrate and exercise the newly acquired abilities and skill play by repeating the action over and over again. In unoccupied behavior, the children are not playful but focus their attention momentarily on anything that strikes their interest. Dramatic or pretend play is why good role models are essential in a child's life, because they imitate what they see other people doing. Children from all cultures play games alone and with others, dependent on their age, what kinds of games they like to play. This child is finding extreme pleasure in handling raw material. Looks like she has some finger painting going on there. Finger painting her face, her hands, her dress, everything. But it's fun. This child is practicing grasp and manipulate. She began to conquer new abilities, and now she's putting paper in a toy car and taking it back out, putting it in and taking it back out. And she finds a lot of pleasure in that. See pages 733 to 734 for the definitions of these play, social characters of play. I have another PowerPoint that I'll give you under assignments about play and how it differentiates the different types. This is what we call parallel play. They're playing alone, but in the presence of each other, side by side. These children are playing associatively. They're in the same environment, playing somewhat together. These children are playing a game together, so they're in cooperative play. Sensorimotor activity is a major component of play at all ages and is a predominant form of play in infants. Children learn through exploration and manipulation. Play helps them form an intelligent way of thinking about and comprehending the world in which they live. Creativity is used in play from toddlerhood into adult life. After children feel the satisfaction of creating something new and different, they transfer this creative interest to situations outside the world of play, so it becomes part of their life. This little child is just so happy. She's got those maracas, and she's got every piece of clothing she ever had on her body at the same time. Play is therapeutic at any age and provides a means for release of tension and stress. We should all practice play sometimes. These two little boys are peers. It appears that maybe Mama is saying for one of them to come home and the other one is going, Peers become increasingly important as children develop friendships and outside the family group. That's his bestie and he don't want him to leave. Toys are very important in a child's life. They should be age appropriate. It can be frustrating for a child to try and play with a toy that's beyond their capability. But if you give a 3-year-old a toy that's made for an 8-year-old, their way of playing with it may be totally different than what it was designed to do. A 3-year-old may just bang it on a table or something. So it's not really serving any useful purpose. Developmental assets. In the past, the most widely used developmental test was the Denver Developmental Screening Test, or DDST. A comprehensive list of child development assessment tools has been developed by the National Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center as a part of its cooperative agreement with the U.S. Office of Special Education Programs. Ages and stages is a term used to broadly outline key periods in the human developmental timeline, and you can see this on page 736, box 28.3. Genes, genetics, and genomics. Congenital anomalies, disorders of the intrauterine environment, and genetic disorders in general. Sometimes the nurse is the first one to see the baby, and when we go to do our assessment, we notice that the baby looks a little funny. Maybe they just don't look quite normal to us. but we should first wait until we see the parents before we bring this necessarily to anybody's attention, because sometimes the child just looks like the parents. So don't jump to any conclusions until you see the parents. And the question for this chapter is, a father tells a nurse that his child is filling up the house with collections, like seashells, bottle caps, baseball cards, and pennies. The nurse should recognize that the child is developing A, object permanence, B, pre-operational thinking, C, concrete operational thinking, or D, ability to use abstract symbols. And the correct answer is C. During concrete operations, children develop the logical thought processes. They are able to classify, sort, order, and otherwise organize facts around the world. Their world, not the world. This ability fosters the child's ability to create collections. And this concludes this chapter. Thank you.